everybody, Pat Huntoon here from Technique Junkies, and today I'm here to show you how the Technique Junkie Shimmering Bliss color sprays work with a variety of different types of cardstocks and papers. This is a water-based spray. It is not really meant for things like acetate and non-porous surfaces. It's really meant for porous surfaces. So it works great on paper, but it has different qualities with different kinds of paper. What I'm going to do is actually spray one paper at a time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about its absorbency, but I'm going to speed up where I can speed up so you don't have to watch me spray in real time and clean up in real time. So I'm going to be using as many of the colors as I can get through with these 12 pieces of paper. These 12 individual paper types are in a pack that I'm selling in my store in packs of 24, so you're going to get 2 of each of these particular things that we're doing today. So if you want to play along, you can. So if you've bought the sprays already and you want to play with different types of paper, I have the paper packs ready for you. Or you can buy the sprays and then buy a paper pack at the same time and use the video as reference. I'm going to start, and with every one of these I will have a finished piece, and buckle in. You're in for a good ride. The first piece of paper I'm doing here is Neenah Solar White Cardstock 80 pound, and I am going to be showing you how I use the sprays and the best way to move the mica around in this first time out, and then after that I won't repeat that again. What I'm going to be doing is showing you how the mica, this is called Luscious Lawn, it's this beautiful green color. You see the mica on the bottom of this? Anytime you have something with mica in it, mica is has a heavy property to it. So when you have mica like that, you need to move that mica around. The best way to do that, you never want to shake up and down, because what that does is it pushes the mica and the product up through the nozzle and maybe around the edges of the nozzle. So you always want to go side to side, or watch this. So I'm going to get it moving by going side to side a little bit, and then I'm going to roll it between my hands. And actually, this is something a customer showed me, rolling this, and it's so very effective. It's so much faster. Look at that, no mica on the bottom. So when you use these, I'm going to get my second one ready, and I'm going to put this with lapis lazuli, which is this beautiful blue. Can you see all the shimmer in there? It's just gorgeous. Again, mica on the bottom, shake side to side, and then roll. And I will not make you watch me do this rolling process for each of the colors I do. Is nice and shaken up. So what I'm going to do, I'm putting a paper towel down just to make my cleanup a little bit faster on each of these, because I'm going to be doing so many at once. But I could put this right on the glass surface. It will wipe right off. So when you spray, my hand is not 6 inches above, because I will get splatter. What I want to do is put my hand on the tabletop, move it up 1 inch. That's it, just 1 inch. And I'm going to do nice long even strokes, like I'm putting hairspray in my hair. Nice long even strokes. See that? Okay, that's the lapis lazuli, and here is the Luscious Lawn. Again, this is Neenah Solar cardstock, Neenah Solar White 80 pound cardstock, and I just want to show you. My Lord, look at all that shimmer. Is that not just beautiful? This did not soak through. I did not put that much on it. It'll dry in a couple of minutes. Of course, you can use a heat tool on it and it won't change the color or the texture. But you notice it lays on there. With the thing with regular cardstock is you're not going to get a lot of motion. Even if I added water to this is a very porous cardstock. So what it does is it soaks right in. So sometimes you just want that. Sometimes you just want it to soak right in and have just beautiful, luscious, static color there. So what I'm going to do is move that to the side, clean up a little bit, and I'll be back at you with the second one. This next piece of paper we're going to be using is 130 pound cold press watercolor paper. This is not an expensive watercolor paper. I would say it's rather on the cheap side. It's kind of thin. It's not a thick watercolor paper. And I'm going to be using Golden Olivine and Mindaro on this, and they've been shaken already. Things you should notice with this. First of all, already you can see the bubbling and the dotting and the yummy lusciousness with that. Now you can do a couple of things. You can just take plain water and get additional spotty effects, or you can dry it a little bit. So after drying it a little bit, you can add a second layer of color on there and get totally different effects. You can take one of the toppers. This is iridescent. And even go over the top of that, adding shimmer to your shimmer. and dry that, or let it dry by hand. I'm going to dry this one. This is 2/3 of the way dry. I'm going to set it aside and show the next one. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Those watermarks on there. It's just beautiful. Oh, and can you see the gold? Because there's gold mica in the olivine. Oh, that's just gorgeous. Next up, I have this beautiful cork-like paper. It is paper. It's very, very thin, but it has this cork texture on the front. It's really, really cool. Let me add some colors to that. Imperial Yellow and Chestnut Mare. Now, I should mention the Imperial Yellow. This has probably the most mica and the most paint in it, so it does tend to be a little messier. Oh, just look at that yumminess. So the Imperial Yellow, you can really see. Oh, I'm going to move that around a little bit. And this moves very nicely on this paper, by the way. It's not static. It doesn't stay in one spot. So that's what makes this really nice. But you can see with the Imperial Yellow, you can really see the tons of paint in there. But on the Chestnut Mare side, look at how it resisted the gold flecking that was in this cork paper. I mean, it's really beautiful. I can wipe some of it off that way. I can just leave it. I think I'm just going to set it aside to dry, but I want to show you that close up. And holy cow, you can really see all of the mica in this product. It's absolutely gorgeous. That might be my favorite piece so far. I have this beautiful piece of almost smocked paper, and you can see that it's very translucent. You can see my fingers through it. This is not a thick piece of paper, but I want to show you how it holds the color. So let's put a couple colors on here. I'm going to put Mermaid on this, and I'm going to mix that up with some Mardi Gras, Mermaid and Mardi Gras. Let me shake them up. Okay, so this is the Mermaid. It's such a fine piece of paper. You really don't have to spray it very much, but look at how it holds the shimmer in the little cracks and nooks and crannies. That is a beautiful background piece of paper. And it did go through because it's very, very fine. And you know, if you didn't want all that color, you could do this on this side, but we want all that color. Let me set it aside. On to the next one. This piece we're doing next, this is a piece of pretty heavy cardstock paper that we're using. It's a little heavier than you would have for a pattern piece of paper, but it holds the colors beautifully. So on this one, we're going to use Just Squeezed, and we will use Thulian Pink, two of my favorite colors. This is a black background with white coming through. And on top of the black, all of that yummy, yummy mica sits. Is that just not a beautiful background piece of paper? That's just gorgeous. Okay. And again, did not soak through. I didn't push that much on there. So one little spritz will do ya. On to the next. I have this piece of handmade textural, very textural cardstock piece of paper. This one's cream color. I do have some in some of the packages that are white, but you can see there's all kinds of fiber texture on here. And I don't think there's a right and a wrong side to this paper, but I'm going to do it on the side that has more indentations. This is quite porous, this paper, but it is sitting on top. So I could probably get, I wonder if I could get an impression from this. It's quite cool. So I'm going to take a tag and see if I can get an impression from this because it's not soaking in right away. Look at that. Oh, that's so cool. Look at that. So because this was just sitting on top like that, I was able to rub this onto a tag. Well, look at that. Isn't that just quite gorgeous? You still have all the shimmer on there and the color. But by wiping it on the tag, I transferred quite a bit of that color to the tag, and that is a really cool background. So that's a 2-for-1. Here we have again another piece of heavy-duty cardstock, printed cardstock, and this one is white with black printing on it. And I'm actually probably going to cut this honeybee out or the honeycomb out. I haven't decided for my piece. So what I'm going to use is bee-like colors. So I'm going to start with Mindaro. This is a porous paper. It does put a lot on there. It does soak in right away. Oh, look at that lovely color. The Mandaro turns very gold. And the worn saddle too. Look at the gold mica I have in those two products. Isn't that just gorgeous? Let's look at what black does. Okay, so because these are translucent sprays with color and shimmer, when you put them on black, most of them will appear black with a tiny bit of color. Some of that color will come through. But I do have some that have some extra shimmer in them and extra color in them. Harvest Sunset is one of those colors and Imperial Yellow is another. So we're going to use those on black. Harvest Sunset probably has the most mica, pure mica in it of any of the colors. So look at how that holds up to black. Is that not just so pretty? Okay, so this next paper that we're going to be using, and I think you can see it in the light, it has a coating to it. It's called Patten leather, P-A-T-T-E-N leather. And it's got a coating on it. It's a coated paper. It's not quite as glossy, but it does, because it's not quite so porous, it has some interesting effects with the sprays. The best red you have ever seen. I just think it is, this Dragon's Blood. Look at how gorgeous that is. So I can move these around, or I can just get the excess off the ends and let this thing do its own thing, or I can move it. So I can move it. Now this one's going to need to dry if I don't dry it with the heat tool. So I'm definitely going to set this whole one aside. And I can't wait to show you what it looks like when it's dry. It's so pretty. But I think you can see all the shimmering gorgeousness in that one. This is a piece of handmade paper. It has a more polished side, I want to say, and it is, you could really see the fibers in this. So we're going to spray this. This is going to be interesting. Watch what happens with this one. This piece we're going to be using Vivid Volt and Festive Flamingo. So this is interesting because the color grabbed the fibers, and look at how it makes those fibers kind of jump out at you. It sits on top of it, so it's not giving you the bubbles and the running of it, but it sits on top, but it colored the fibers, which I think really highlights that paper. Can you see that? Oh, this particular handmade paper also has some gold and silver leafing in it, and it is resisting that leafing. Okay, next up we have this beautiful Kraft cardstock. Now I know through experience this Kraft cardstock is very thick. It's like 80 pounds, but it's very, very porous. So I would suggest using a medium color on this or a light color on this. You do not want to use a super dark color on this because you will lose it. If you put wine stain or Dragon's Blood or some of the really, really dark colors, you're going to lose the color in there. So I'm going to look at how those colors just sit on and around the printed piece. It's really pretty. Again, I could tap this off, I could dry it, or I can just let it air dry. So I'm going to let that one air dry. Okay, so my final piece today is this beautiful brushed cotton, and the best I can say this is this has a texture to it when you feel it. It's the softest texture. It's almost like, I can't even explain. It's the softest texture. It's almost like fabric on top of paper, but it's definitely paper, and it's very thick. The thicker you put it on, and the more it bubbles up, you get these beautiful bubbles with this. Let me just pull it off this paper so you can see it better. Get some of this off. Now, again, I can still move this around. There's sitting on top. It hasn't soaked in yet, so you get all that motion. Look at this piece of paper. How could you not love this? So those are all 12 of the papers that I have to show you. And that concludes our spray and play paper tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it today. If so, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.